Alrighty guys, welcome to this video. We are on week 8. Let's hop to the learning path. Oh yeah, go down to week 8. Okay, we're doing a preloader this week. You're going to have some sort of little animation run for a couple seconds, repeat a couple times, and then when it's done, it's going to animate out, away, gone, and the content or your page will load in. So it's not too bad. It's just going to be we're only going to be adding one or two new things here, but you'll be taking what you've already been learning and you'll create this preloader. So this is what I have. I just kind of took what I've done before and I just kind of centered it. So let's take a look here. So I just took this little bouncing ball animation that I created and I'm going to use that as the preloader. Okay, and if you created something in your past assignments that you want to use as the preloader animation, that's fine too. Doesn't matter to me, but this is what I'm going to use. So basically what I'm going to have is this will run a couple times, and then it's going to animate off the screen, and then the content of my page will animate on. So it's a cool way to kind of welcome people to your site. It's a cool little animation you can show them that, kind of makes it look pretty cool, right? All right, so let's do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the content on the page that's going to be loaded later. You don't have to do this now, but this just to me kind of makes sense. So I'm going to create a div. I'm going to give it a class. Call it content. I guess beforehand, let's kind of review what I have. So I have this loading class, which is right here. It holds these three images. Okay, C1 to C5, right? Okay, and I put them in a div, the loading div, and then I just kind of centered them. I did position absolute, top 50, left 50, and then I offset them. The margin left is -85 because that's half of the 170 width. And then the margin top's -20 because that's half of the 40 pixel height. Okay, so that's really all I did. Gave it a height and width, and I positioned it absolutely so it's directly in the middle of the screen. Okay, then I set up the div, and I have those images in there. And then I embedded my tween max, so I'm able to do the animations. And then I set up the function that runs when the page loads, set up the new timeline, okay, and then I did the stagger. So I staggered everything with the class of L, which is right here. They all have the class of L. The animation lasts half a second. Okay, I have them go up 20 pixels, so that's what makes them go up. Up 20 pixels right there. Yo-yo true just means it kind of repeats. Okay. So if I were to get rid of that, you can take a look at what that would do. Okay. The yo-yo makes it when it goes up, it yo-yos back and goes down. That's what the yo-yo does. Okay, and then I have an ease that makes it look like it's bouncing. It goes up fast and then slows down when it gets to the top and then goes back down. Okay, the repeat -1 just means repeat forever. And then the 0.2 seconds is the offset. So when this animates, this won't animate until 0.2 seconds has gone by. So that's what defines how long to wait before each one of these gets animated. All right, so that's just a quick review. All right, so back to the content. So the content that I'm going to do, just so you're aware, GreenSock has their own little, there we go, GreenSock Learning. If I go to GreenSock Learning here, let's pause that. They have their own little playlist channel where the guys, I guess these are the guys that control GreenSock, I'm not 100% sure, but they have a bunch of videos here. So if you really like this, you can hop into this and learn some more stuff. So I'm just going to grab this video. I'm going to hit share. We'll just go to more. And I'll just have this video load. This will be my content. I don't care what the content is that you have load. Just make sure that it's something that makes sense. All I care is that the preloader runs for a little bit, goes away, and then some sort of content appears on the page. So I'm going to hit share. YouTube changed their UI a little bit. Go over here to embed, and we'll just grab the iframe here. I'll throw that inside of content. Okay, save it. Now we have an issue. The content's there, right? And the preloader's there. Well, we got to switch all that up a little bit. So I'll come in here and I'm going to style out content. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is opacity 0 because I want it to be invisible. I don't want to see the video there anymore. And I'm going to do a width of just the same as this. So 560 and a height's going to be 315. So width 560, height 315. And I want to center it as well. So I'm just going to kind of do what I did above. So position absolute, top 50, left 50, and then I got to offset it. Remember, if I do that, well, I guess I'll show you what it does so I can show you why I need to offset it. See how it puts the upper left-hand corner right in the middle? Well, so I need to up it half of its height. So that will be in the middle. Then I need to move it over half of its width. So this will be in the middle. So when this and that is in the middle, it'll be directly in the middle. So that's what that margin left and margin top does. So margin left is going to be 280. Margin top is going to be 157 and a half. I don't even know if it does the half, but who cares? Oh, did I forgot? Yeah, I forgot the negatives. Okay, there we go. Directly in the middle now. Now it's on top of our preloader, which of course is an issue as well. So what I want to happen is this going to be invisible? The preloader is going to run a couple times. I'm going to have the preloader animate out, and then I'm going to have this animate in. And what I want this to do is grow. So I'm going to transform this. Come on, if I can type. And I'm going to just start it at a scale of 0. Okay. That actually made it invisible. I may not even have to mess with the opacity. But I'll do it just for fun. Dang it. Okay. So the scale 0, that just makes it basically, 1 would be its normal size, 2 would be double its size, 0 is just, I guess, making it invisible, making it gone. All right, so I got my content. Now I just need to start animating this stuff. All right, so I'm going to come down here. I already have my stagger. This is my preloader. That's already done. We're good to go. Now, what I'm going to do, instead of having this go forever, I'll just say repeat 3 times. So when it repeats 3 times, then it'll load the rest of the page. So I need to add another thing here, though. I have to add an onComplete. So when it's complete, in other words, when it's gone 3 times, I'm going to run a function called load content. Now let me lower this a little bit. Now if you're not sure what, let's see, there we go. If you're not sure what a function is just a group of code that's ran when you tell it to be ran inside of JavaScript. So as you can see, this is a function, but we've set this function up to run right when the page loads. But here we're saying, okay, when this timeline is complete, in other words, it's repeated 3 times, we're going to go and run the function load content and do whatever that says. All right, so I got to come out of this function here, and I'm going to write a new one. So function load content. Right, so when this is done, when this has been repeated 3 times, it's going to run a function called load content, which I've defined down here. Functions always have the name of the function here. They always have these parentheses, and then the function, the things that happen when the function is called is always inside of these curly brackets. Okay. Ooh, sorry, I just sneezed. You probably didn't want to hear that, so I paused the video. Okay. So I'm gonna, just to make sure that this function is being fired off and being called, there's this thing you can do called console log, and then you can put some sort of message in here. Be like, I could say something like, okay, load content was called. So this won't put anything to the page, but when we look inside of the debugger, we'll be able to take a look and see if this load content function has been properly called, because I don't want to go through here and write tons of different lines to later find out, oh, this isn't even working correctly. So I just want to make sure everything's working correctly before I start doing this function. So I can come back here. We're going to hit F12 on the keyboard. And I don't know what all this junk is, but it's still working. So I'm going to hit F5. Okay, it runs 3 times. All right, and it says load content was called. So great, that's awesome. So we know it's working. We know that this on complete is working because when it finishes, it ran load content, and then it put inside the console load content was called. And the content, or the console is just right here. Now, if you're on a wretched Mac and you can't hit F12, you should be able to right click and just do inspect. And when you do inspect, it'll bring this up, and then you just go over here to the console. Okay, and then it'll show you that, okay, the console log worked. So that's a really good debugging or development thing you can do here, just to make sure that certain things are happening when they're supposed to. So I can throw this in just to make sure that this function is indeed being called, which it is. So happy days. So I'm going to just comment that out. So I just want to start a new timeline. So var t2, right? We're going to say new timeline max. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have the little circle things just shrink. I'm going to shrink and just go away. But I want it to stagger when it happens. So I want that to shrink and go away, then that one, then that one, then that one. I don't want them all to go at the same time. I just want to animate. I want to stick with staggering animation and have it kind of stagger out. All right. So I'm going to say T2. I'm going to stagger 2. Okay, and again, I got to define what I'm going to animate. I'm going to animate all the things with class L. Okay, I want the whole animation to take 0.3 seconds. Now, I could say opacity, but there's also another thing that supposedly works better in the browser. It's a little bit quicker. I don't know. I've never seen it work any differently, but it's auto alpha. So you can use opacity property or auto alpha. They both do the same thing. So I'm going to say auto alpha, and then I'm going to say scale 0. So remember, this is what we're animating to. So I'm animating them to go away, to go invisible, and to shrink, because right now their scale is just normal, right? All right, and then I don't even know if I need this, but I'll throw in an ease just for fun. Sometimes you can't really see the easing just because everything goes a little too quick. Okay, and then I want 0.2 seconds. Between each animation, I want it to wait 0.2 seconds. So the first ball will go away, it'll wait 0.2 seconds, and the second one, and then it'll stagger out that way. All right, let's take a look, close off that line, and see what happens. All right, cool. So they bounce up and down a couple times, and then they shrink and they fade out. Bounce, bounce, boom. So that kind of looks cool. Now, I didn't just, randomly go, oh, that's what I'm going to do. Like, I spent some time playing around with numbers until I thought it looked good. Okay, so the preloader is gone. That's great. But we need to animate the content onto the page, right? So I'm going to add on 2. I'm going to animate 2. And I'm going to animate content, right? The class of content. Okay, I want this to take 0.4 seconds. I just want it to be visible, right? Sorry guys for the sniffling, because right here it's set to be zero opacity, so I'm setting it to be 1, and then I'm going to scale it to be 1 as well. And that's all I got to do there. I don't need to worry about any offsets or anything like that because it's just that one animation. So I'm just saying, all right, content, you're going to animate to an alpha of 1 and a scale of 1. So it should, and it'll take 0.4 seconds to happen. So it should look like it's growing and kind of appear as it's growing. So let's take a look and see, make sure everything is saved, and refresh. So loading, goes away, boom. Again, I don't know how my frames per second is on this recording, but it looks really smooth and awesome on my side. But there we go, bam. Now, I mean, you could animate things to like be, I don't know, animate from the left. I mean, you can do all kinds of weird stuff, but I do want to check something. I don't even know if I needed to mess with the alpha, to be honest, because the scale 0 made it go away. So I'm just going to get rid of these opacities and see what that does. Yeah, I mean, it basically does the same thing. So the scale 0 makes it invisible. So I really didn't even need to mess with that alpha property. The scale was fine. So I hope you're starting to see kind of the power of this. I mean, you can use this on all kinds of projects. Having a little preloader and, just making sure everything, I don't know, it just can it can just give a cool little feel to your site. But, this assignment though, I want to make sure that don't just do what I did, just the scales and alphas. Like, think of something else. Man, Jordan, I know you're online. Hold on, I'm just going to get rid of Skype right now. But do something creative. I mean, if you want to be successful in this industry, you got to think out of the box. You got to do stuff that everyone else isn't doing. You got to think of just cool ideas, and you just got to be creative. That's really what it comes down to. But that's all it for the assignment this week. You just make some sort of preloading animation, have it run a couple times, have it animate out, and then once it's animated out, animate some content in, and you'll be good to go. But don't do what I did. Do something creative. Do something new. Okay, think outside the box. All right, guys, have an awesome week. We'll talk to you next week.